How's everyone doing? Today I have a Blu-ray update with 5 pickups, and they're all from Lionsgate, and they're all horror-esque. If you've seen any of these movies, definitely let me know what you think of them, and let me know which is your favorite from this lot right here. First up is the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray digital combo pack for Jigsaw. This came out 7 years after the last Saw movie, The Final Chapter. As soon as they named it that, I was like, you know they're going to make more. I'm surprised it took this long to make more. And this is set 10 years after John Kramer, the Jigsaw killer, has passed away, and there's more killings of that nature with the puzzle pieces. Their detectives are trying to figure out who the killer is. It can't be John Kramer. He's been dead for 10 years. And they find his DNA under one of the victim's fingernails. They find a recording with his voice on it. They match the voice. They say it's his. So they're trying to figure out how this is possible. He's been dead for 10 years. Basically, if you're a fan of the Saw franchise, you'll like it. If you're not a fan of the Saw franchise, this won't change your mind. It's the same stuff where it's really reliant on the traps and gore. And then they throw a very convoluted twist ending in there, which I just thought was ridiculous. I was like, come on now. I could have gone with it up until that point. I thought it was okay, and then that just really brought it down to just absurd levels. And that's kind of what the Saw franchise is. Each sequel kind of got progressively worse for me. After Saw 3, they're almost unwatchable. The last one, it's really surprising. The last Saw movie had some terrible, terrible acting, even by low-budget horror standards. And that's what I don't understand. This is such a huge franchise. They should have been able to put more production value into that last one. But this one, actually, the gore is top-notch. Probably the best gore in the whole franchise. I thought it was decent. I thought it was okay. The typical stuff, if you're a Saw fan, you'll enjoy it. If you're not, you probably won't. The thing that really stood out to me were the gore effects. I thought those were really spectacular and some of the best I've seen in the franchise. So there you go. I mean, again, crazy traps and gore, and then a stupid twist. But as far as the picture quality and audio quality, both were top notch. There's a lot of dimly lit areas, darks and gray, blacks and grays, very inky, very detailed though, especially with the gore too. Some of the gore actually really caught me by surprise by how good it was. But there you go. There was Jigsaw from Lionsgate, the 4K edition. I do dig that cover though. I feel like they could have done so much more with this conceptually. It just felt like a cop-out ending with that ridiculous convoluted twist. But they're gonna make more of these. It's a popular franchise, just like all the other popular franchises these days. Paranormal Activity, all those ones that should have died a long time ago, or at least have, I don't know, some kind of better. They make so much money, put better ideas, so much more they could do with it. It kind of annoys me. Anyways, end rant. Next up is The Killing of a Sacred Deer. This was, for me, one of the most hyped up movies of the year. This is directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, who did Dogtooth and The Lobster, and he's working again with Colin Farrell in here. And this also stars Nicole Kidman, Alicia Silverstone, who should have been in more of this movie. She was only in one scene, and that was actually a really good scene, probably one of my favorite scenes of the movie. It also has, I'm trying to remember, Barry Keoghan is the kid right there. This is basically based on a Greek mythology story, which I actually looked into, and knowing that story does not make this movie any better. It just feels so stiff and awkward, just pretentious at times. And if you know the director's work, you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. But the way that the actors deliver their lines, they feel robotic. That's actually fitting the way that I said that. The way that they deliver the lines, it's just so unnatural. It's just, people don't talk like that, and they don't say the things that they say in here too. They talk about menstruation a lot, about their children, about masturbation. There's one point I don't even want to get into. There's a point towards the end of the movie where Colin Farrell tells his kid something, a secret, and I'm just like, really? That is disgusting and unnecessary. You should have gone to your grave with that secret. But again, the actions and the dialogue are just so unnatural that I just couldn't get past it. Nobody talks like that or acts like that. It just felt like they were just like, robots in human form. And but I will say this: the cinematography was amazing. A lot of nice long track shots, and then the score was definitely horrifying. That was the most horror-centric about this movie. I think they build it as a horror movie, but it's really more drama thriller. Some mystery as well, obviously. And I hated the ending to this movie. You're just, come on now. It's ridiculous. And again, the mythology to it doesn't, it's what inspired the movie. It doesn't help this movie. It doesn't make it any better. It's just so ridiculous to me. And a lot of people love this movie. They say it's one of the best movies of the year. Not for me. Again, if you are familiar with the director, you kind of know his style. But this, to me, it was a letdown. I love the way that it was shot. I love the score to it, haunting score. And I love the setting as well. It fit. It was kind of a lot of washed out, very kind of sleek and just monotone kind of colors, whites and blacks and things like that. Very fitting for it, but overall, it didn't work on the plot and the dialogue, especially just so unnatural. I can't get past it. So yeah, that one wasn't for me. But again, there's something oddly intriguing about it as well. Especially again for me, it's the way that it was shot. And then the score. Those things really stood out to me. I just wish it was better dialogue and better plot, script. Yeah. And then next up are two. Let me end that rant. Two new releases from the Vestron Video Collector Series, which I absolutely love this series. We've got Class of 1999 and Gothic. Class of 1999 is one that I really enjoy. Sci-fi, action, horror elements here. I really like the cast. This is directed by Mark L. Lester, who actually directed Class of 1984, which is another good film dealing with something similar as far as the high school and rebellion. But there's actually a sequel to this, Class of 1999 Part 2. So yeah, I haven't seen the sequel, but I know of it. This stars Pam Grier's in here. We've got Bradley Gregg. Stacy Keach was awesome in his role. Malcolm McDowell in here is the principal. Basically, it's these robots right there. You can see one kind of looking like Terminator-esque right there. And they have human forms and they're teachers, but they're also like military weapons. And they're basically trained to discipline and educate the students. It's set in kind of like a futuristic kind of a timeline where gang violence, especially youth-wise, have taken over the country, and they're especially like the high school areas. They're like called free fire zones where police don't even go there. So it's out of control. So they have to figure out something to do. So they bring in these robot teachers to kind of change everything, and they get out of control. Of course, that's going to happen. But they have these two rival gangs. Really good supporting cast here. And it's just a fun, entertaining movie. It's got some cheesy elements to it, but I think it still is worth checking out for sure if you're a fan of everything that I just mentioned as far as the theme of it. Again, the sci-fi, horror, action. Again, I love the cast in here too. Some of the other teachers are here are really good too. John P. Ryan. One of the other actors, he's been in a bunch of stuff. He's really good too. But yeah, I would definitely recommend this one. It was a lot of fun, especially revisiting it. It looks great. Looks better than I ever remember it looking. And some really good special features in here too. A ton of good special features and interviews and talking about special effects right there. And you've got commentary from director Mark L. Lester. So really nice release, nice slipcover for it right there. And it's no eco case, which I'm pleased about. And there's the disc artwork. So yeah, I would definitely recommend Class of 1999 if you like those kind of futuristic, violent, action, sci-fi horror movies with killer robot teachers. Next up is Gothic, directed by Ken Russell. And Vestron Video Collector Series also released another Ken Russell movie, Lair of the White Worm, which I really enjoy. I enjoy way more than this one. This is basically about Mary Shelley and the night that she created the idea of Frankenstein. And I could not get into this movie. I always remember seeing this shot. I never checked out the movie until now. It's basically them sitting around in a castle, just talking and then chilling out and then just going crazy. Essentially, they start seeing things and hallucinating. They took some kind of drugs, liquid drug stuff, and they were trying to come up with a crazy story that could, which one could be the most horrific story. And they do a seance, and they just get freaked out and start, seeing things, but there's nothing really there. And then towards the end of the movie, that was the thing that annoyed me. I feel like maybe they didn't have the budget or something, because they just and they run away, but there's nothing there. And then towards the end of the movie, you see a couple little things here and there. The last couple minutes are the best part of the movie, and then they talk about the real life happenings and passings and tragedies of the Shelleys and Lord Byron and the whole family and stuff like that. So they're in Lord Byron's castle, and it's the Shelleys, and then I think it's the stepsister too, and it's just and then the one servant, and who's also I guess a medical, or it's Byron's, I guess it's his friend, who's not really a servant, but I guess he kind of serves him in a bit. But there's hallucinogenic stuff going on. Ken Russell's done a lot of great films. To me, this is not one of them. He's done was it Crimes of Passion? Is that what it was? I have it over here. I know Arrow Video did a release for it. He did Devils. He did Alter States, Lair of the White Worm. He did a movie called Horror. He's done a lot of crazy, explicit, out there kind of movies. So yeah, I mean, this one to me though, it fell flat. I wanted more from it. They could have done so much more. I like how they kind of delve into the debauchery of Lord Byron and all that stuff. And then towards the end of the movie, they talk about all the tragedies that occur in the Shelley's life and Byron's life and all that kind of stuff. But for the majority of this film, it's just them in a castle talking. And then just towards, the middle way, they start running and yelling and seeing things, but there's nothing really there. And it's just, it was just rough to sit through. It was a battle of attrition to just get through it. One of the best parts of it was the special features in here for this release, where you have audio commentary with the film historian, and then you've got Lacey Russell, and then you also have Julian Sands. You've got a featurette interview with him, which I actually really enjoyed that interview. He talks about working with Ken Russell. He was talking about, a lot of other actors had negative times with him, but he really enjoyed his time. Julian Sands, a really good actor. Gabriel Byrne's in here too. They're the standouts for sure. Although I did like Miriam Sear, who I don't think she was in many other films after that, but I really liked her performance in here. She was the stepsister. Timothy Spall too, recognizable actor. He's been in a bunch of stuff. But a nice release. If you are a fan of this movie, and I know there are fans of this movie, you'll be pleased with the picture and audio quality. And there you go, no eco case, and there's the disc artwork, digitally restored. So again, Vestron Video Series 13 and 14 respectively right there. You can line them up in the spines. I know a lot of people collect every single one. The only one that I really didn't enjoy from the Vestron Video Collector Series were Gothic and then Parents. Those are the only ones I wasn't really into. All the rest of them I loved. So yeah, this brief scene could have been creepier too. This was just like a split-second scene where they had that little image. She's having like these nightmarish thoughts. So towards the end, you see a couple things, but for the most part, they're just freaking out over nothing. All right, next up is Cookoff, which this isn't horror, but it's horrifying to watch. First up, you've got Melissa McCarthy right there. I don't know why she had that like Band-Aid on her chin. They could have done some kind of makeup or something, certainly. I don't know if that was supposed to be part of her character, but she didn't even like need to be in this movie. It was clear that she maybe did a favor to a producer, director, writer, somebody involved with this film, because her character just felt thrown in there. There's this all these amateur chefs all around the country, and they're doing this cooking competition for Van Ruckel Farms cooking contest for $1 million prize. And it's basically all about their interactions with the different people. There's a couple, there's a sisters, a bunch of different people in there, and just how they all interact and the craziness of it all and the hijinks that happen. And Melissa McCarthy is a contestant that runs late getting there, and there's a whole big to-do about letting her in the competition and all other stuff. But her character just felt like it was thrown in for no reason. It was an unnecessary character, and this movie was dreadful to sit through. Just terrible comedy, just cheap comedy. It just wasn't entertaining. It wasn't funny. I like some of the actors involved in the film, especially Diedrich Bader was really good. Marky Post from Night Court was in here as a reporter. It's nice to see her in here, but again, I feel like her talents could have been utilized better. She was actually one of the best parts for me. Also, Diedrich Bader too. But some other people were enjoyable. They could tell that they were doing the best they could with what they had to work with as far as the script. A lot of the actors were really good as far as making it believable for the characters, even though they were so ridiculous and absurd. The actions, everything about it, and you could tell certain plot points were just ridiculous and so formulaic and predictable. But overall, it was below average. I couldn't recommend it. Horrifying to sit through, which is why I kind of put it in here with the rest of these horror movies. They're all from Lionsgate. Yeah, I could not recommend that one. But the rest of them all have their merits, essentially, right there. So there you go. If you've seen any of these movies, definitely let me know what you think of them. Just rough. One of the worst comedy movies I've seen in a while. But there you go. For me, one of my favorite of the lot was Class of 1999. So glad to see that get a proper treatment right there. That's awesome. Bang, there it is. Let me know if you've seen these movies, what you think of them, and what was your favorite pickup from this haul. Leave me a comment or video response down below. Hope everyone's doing well. Take care.